Right, folks, welcome to building mobile apps with HTML5 and Java. My name is Max Katz. I run developer relations for TIGZ, which actually what I'm going to show you today. And so this is my information in case you have any questions. So this is the only slide that I have, all right? And then I'm actually going to spend the rest of the time building a mobile app for you. And what's really cool, you'll be able to try the app as I build it. All right? All right. Anyhow, so first, anyone heard of TIGZ before? One person, two, three, awesome. So you guys in the right place. But basically, it's a cloud mobile app platform, all right, where you get development tools and also runtime services for building mobile apps, right? So there's a cloud builder, Cloud ID running in the browser. Okay, that's number one. The app that you get at the end is pretty much HTML5, jQuery mobile. You can also do PhoneGap app, right? You guys familiar with PhoneGap? Gives you access to device features. You can consume any REST API that's out there. Of course, including APIs which are based on Java. All right? There's also backend services where you can create basically a cloud database to store up data. Let's say you're building a to-do app and you want to store things to do. So you can easily store them in a cloud database. Right? So all these things give you a mobile app. Right? You got a builder, you got REST services, cloud REST services, and then you also get a cloud database and some other services. Right? That's basically it. I've got one more slide I'm going to show you at the end. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to build an app for you. All right? So let's do that. Let's go here. So again, it's entirely running in the cloud, right? So I'm going to create a new app first. So let's do Java 1 mobile app. I'm going to click create. Am I still connected to the internet? Here we go. Now, so again, this is loading the builder. As I said, it's entirely in the cloud, which means there's nothing to download, nothing to install, and incredibly easy to start. Also, in just a second, you're going to see it's going to say connecting to collaboration server. So what this means is that there is a Google Docs basically model. I mean, not editing documents, but building an app where you can invite other developers or whoever to build the app, collaborate on the app at the same time or at different times. All right? Just a few more seconds, and it will be loaded. Here we go, connecting collaboration server. All right, so this is a builder. We got a phone right here, right? This is your phone. You can also do tablet if you want. And right here are your jQuery mobile components and also HTML5 components. All right, make sense? Kind of ID in the browser. So the first step now, we're going to use for APIs as the first example, we're going to use Twitter, right? And I was told that Twitter uses Java in the backend for their services, all right? So we're going to connect to Twitter Search API, and we'll be able to search for anything, all right? So, but the first step is to build the UI. So we take components, input component, we're going to make this a placeholder, the actual input. We're going to get a button component, and let's make it search, if I can spell, here we go. And let's change this to app. Right? Now what's really nice is that, first of all, you start, this is an HTML5 jQuery mobile app, which means you can basically run it in any browser, right? Desktop browser, mobile browser. But what's really awesome is that you can test the app instantly. So there is a big test button. Right? And you actually get, this is the real thing. Now it doesn't do anything yet, it will. But this is the real thing. What's also really cool is that, as I said, you guys can share, can try the app as I build it. So I'm going to make the app public. I'm going to create a shortcut URL so you guys can try it. So let's do public. Now, obviously this URL is pretty long. I don't want you guys to type it. So what I'm going to do is let me launch it. And I'm going to go to tinyurl. Right? And let's create a shortcut. And let's call this Java 1 2012. Maybe someone has it. It's M for mobile. Make tiny URL. Awesome. All right. Now, if you guys go to this URL, right, desktop, or obviously the shortcut is easy for mobile device. Any phone, you'll be able to access the app. So when you do, raise your hand. Sorry, it's tiny URL Java 1.12m. I was just afraid the Java 1 was probably taken already. All right. So anyone can access it. Oh, you know, sorry. Oh, you're gonna get the frame. Let me do it the other way. Sorry, guys. Without the frame, you don't want to see the frame on the mobile device. Let me do this. We'll have to create a new one. So M1. I know. Sorry. Here we go. So again, on a desktop computer, you can do the first one. On the mobile device, make sure you do this. Otherwise, you're going to get the frame. It doesn't transfer. It doesn't redirect you to a non-mobile, non-frame version yet. So anyone got it? Right. Very good. You guys want me to keep this open for a little bit? So get tiny URL Java 1.12 M1. Right? Or if you guys want to try, and again, it sort of depends on how close you are. You can scan this QR code, but I don't know. It just depends on the phone and how far you are. All right, you're all good? So here, this is for mobile, and then without the one is. Okay, very good. So let's continue. Now we're going to continue building the UI. First, I'm going to get a grid component, and this is useful for layout. It has 2 columns. You can do more columns, more rows. In the first one, I'm going to put an image component, which is the Twitter picture. And now I know ahead of time the size that Twitter sends me. It's 48 by 48, and that's why I'm going to resize it. Like this. In the second column, I'm going to put 2 labels. The first label is the Twitter username, then it's going to be the Twitter text. All right? Now, there are a bunch of jQuery mobile themes. This is just a short list, but we can do something like this, right? And we can test. And this is what you get, right? Well, this is without the frame. So again, if you, okay, make sense? So if you guys hit refresh, you'll be able to get that. But let me actually open it in the frame. It looks nicer in the desktop. There we go. Come on. Almost there. Here we go. Right? Well, hopefully sort of get, I mean, you can create multiple pages, you can write JavaScript, you can navigate between the pages. But basically, you know, if this all sort of there was, then, I mean, you can basically build the UI for your app, correct? But of course, you want to be able to get data, you want to be able to connect to REST services. You want to make this app to be a real app, not just a kind of a dummy UI. So for that, we're going to connect to a REST service. And I'm going to go to project, and I'm going to create a new service. All right, REST service is fine. I'm going to click OK. And so right here, I'm going to connect to Twitter. Twitter search, and then, all right. Now, so I'm using Twitter, but as you can imagine, any REST out there, anything you guys have, know, find, you can do here, right? And I'm going to change to JSONP, just a minor, it's not important. Now, every service has inputs and outputs, right? So we're going to define inputs. In Twitter case, it's the only one is required is Q, which stands for query. They're optional parameters that Twitter has, but they're optional, so we're not going to worry about it. Now, what's really nice is that once you do that, you can actually test the service also. Have you guys ever seen kind of if you go to a company that offers APIs and there's kind of an RPG console where you can test the REST service? Anyone has seen that? No? Okay. Well, does something like this. Basically, you can enter any input, or we can do maybe Java 1. You can try. Click test, and you get the result. All right? So you get a JSON from Twitter. Now, the next step is to create the service output. And we could do it by hand, but as you can see, Twitter returns a lot of stuff back. So we don't want to do it by hand. We can click this button, we can automatically create the response. Clicking this button, right, and what we get is everything we get back from Twitter, right? So it can be a JSON, it can also be XML, right? So we got output, we got input, and we got the actual service. So let's save, and let's close. Now we need to add the service to the page. So we can just basically just drag and drop like this. This indicates the service is added to the page. Next, we need to bind the service to the page, or the mapping between the service and the UI. And so we go to data mapping. Let me just collapse it so it's a little bit. Right? This is the service right here, and this is the page. So this is the input component. I'm going to map the input component to the service. All right? Now you can also write JavaScript. Again, you're starting with the mobile app, HTML mobile app. So any JavaScript, anything that's out there or you write goes, right? You know, anything the browser supports. Response mapping. Okay, this is what you get from Twitter. Now results, this is the collection of all the tweets. So I'm going to map it to the grid itself. Now, why to the grid? Because I'm going to make multiple tweets. It's going to give me a looping feature functionality where I'm going to just loop over tweets. Text, this is the actual tweet. So I'm going to map it to the second label. Let's see, from user is right here. Right, this is the username, and this is the picture. Right? Again, you can write JavaScript here on the other side. You can also save stuff into local storage. So again, this is just a browser. So basically, any API browser has, you can use here. Make sense? Now we're going to go back to design. The last step we need to do is we need to invoke the service, and we're going to click a button, and we'll select the button, go to events, click. And then there are a number of actions. There's, again, run custom JavaScript. So again, you can just write anything you want. And then the one we want to use is Invoke Service and select service. Right? And we actually then need to save. If you click save, it will be saved automatically. Click test. And, all right? So give it a try. You guys have to refresh. Let me know when you guys got it. Anyone? Right? So, but this is a real mobile app. I mean, I can launch it without the frame. So, I mean, I think it's pretty awesome. Do you guys think? Yes? I know, it's been a long day. All right. So yeah, this is a real app that's talking to a service. Now, how do you get the app, right? Sort of outside, or well, what's really cool is that you can export the app easily. You can export as HTML, just keep it pure mobile, and you can also do source code, so Eclipse or Xcode, Windows, Visual Studio. This is for Windows Phone 7, or you can get a binary. Okay, and if you guys want to try, those of you with Android, I can build, and it's going to go and build for me. I don't know, might be 10 seconds, might be 20 seconds, I don't know. And then we're going to get a QR code, and you can actually scan it, well, if you want to do it later. And you can get the app on your phone installed, right? But anyhow, I can come back to this. Well, let's see. 10 more seconds. Yeah. Let's see, maybe now. I think it's going to 10 more seconds. Yeah. So I think now it will finish. Oh, man. I think it doesn't like because it's, I guess, Oracle, so it's kind of building slower. Here we go. 40 seconds. Yeah. So again, you guys don't have to scan it now, but again, you could come later and scan, and you're going to get the app on your device. All right? Of course, iOS is a little bit more complicated than Android for obvious reasons. All right. So what do you guys think? Pretty awesome? I mean, thank you. So again, this is a real app. I mean, this is not some kind of a hello world that, this is a real mobile app, and you guys can, you're able to actually try it. And keep in mind that any REST service out there, anything out there, you can easily get. If we have time at the end, what I want to show you is that I'm sure you heard about Devoxx, right? Conference, the other Java conference in Europe. And they have pretty cool API, which is also Java-based. And I think it's, REST interface. And this is what they have. So we can instantly, right, get this also, get any of the REST services they have and be able to get the information to display and so on. But what I'm going to show you next is how we can add backend services, right? So there is MongoDB running in the cloud, right? And what's cool about MongoDB is that everything you do there is, the way we have it set up, and anything you do is instantly exposes REST APIs. Okay? So let's do that. Let's go here. Okay, so I got a list of databases. Let's create a new one. So Java 1, DB, click Create. Right? And I get a database, I get collections. So these are the collections. There's user management, file management. But let's create a collection. So new, let's do it to do, right? What are we going to do? Tasks. Right? We got a collection. These are default columns or fields. We're going to add a new column, and we're going to call this name. Click Create. And then we can enter sample data. So let's do a row, I don't know. Go to another session. And then we can do more. See, people are leaving. I say, don't leave. And then finally, I don't know, get a beer. I think they left to get a beer. All right? Now, what's really cool is that, again, everything is exposed as REST, and in fact, you get a little curl command. You guys all familiar with curl, right? So, curl command. Now, as I mentioned, anything that's exposed as REST, you can easily add to your app, and this is REST, so we can do that. So let's go ahead and copy this, and copy, and let's go back. This is we are, and we're going to create a new service, and let's call this to do get, and we just need to change the name here to do, and the only other thing we need is we need to get this this key, right, that identifies our database. So. And the last thing is this, the actual value. Make it a header. Now, as before, test. Right away, we get the 3 items. Again, next step is to create the service response. I can do it automatically. Click here, and it says populated successfully. And this is the response. I save, I close, and let's create a page. We'll create a new page. And we'll call this to do. And let's use another component. So we used, actually I need that. We'll get a list component. So we're going to get a list component, and we're going to make this front corner so it looks better. Now, because I'm going to be iterating over items, I don't need all 3, so I actually just need one. One. All right? And so we got the page, and we are going to add a service to the page. which is right here. Okay, and now we can close this. Let's do data mapping as before. So this is the input portion, right? There's nothing to set for the input because the key, just the key. But on the response, we're going to map the list, mapping it to the list, and the name to text property of the list, right? So again, we're going to iterate. We're almost done. We now need to add an event. Now before, we would invoke the service on button click, but now we want to invoke the service on page load, for example. Invoke service, page load, right? So the last thing we need to do is we need to make this to be the starting page, right? Because right now if we launch, we're going to get the Twitter. So let's try and do that. We're going to go to settings, and we're going to change the start screen and click test. Right? Instantly, we got the app. Now, if you guys refresh, you're probably going to get the same Twitter because there is a page. Name at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first page, and let's add a button just so you guys can navigate easier. So maybe put it right here in the header, and we'll add an event. Click, and navigate to page. Right, and so let's change this to next. Right, so if you guys refresh, you'll be able to get to the list. Right, you guys working? You got to the list? All right, very good. Now I mentioned, so as before, I mentioned it's a platform, right? And now, if it's a platform, it means that anywhere you are, you should be aware what app you have and what backend services you have. So what I just did, you can use any service out there, right? Anything you find, you can basically use the same approach. You put the URL, you create the input, you create the output, but there's actually even a simpler way to do the same thing. And let me just run mine. Okay, so. Let's add a capability to add new items, and you guys can add new items, and you can say good things about the session, bad things. I once did a session in San Diego, and I got some, not about me, but just bad things people were testing. So, but we'll be able to refresh and see what you guys are saying. All right, so. Again, so the builder is aware what databases I've created. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create database services. And right here, I got a list of all the databases. And this is Java 1DB. And immediately I get all the collections. So these are login. This is for user management. And this is my to-do collection. So I'm going to do create. I would like to create, to generate a create service. I'm going to click here, and instantly it creates a service for me. And what's really awesome is that there is a URL, there is all the parameters already set. All right? And if I want, I can test this, and I can say, I don't know. And I can click test, and this indicates that a new value was entered. Close, and we can go back, where is it? Right here. And this is the item, right? So it works. The only last thing I need to do is I need to, let me close the tabs here. I need to modify the UI, so let's do that. And so first we're going to get an input component. Oh, I put it right in the list. Right, and let's make this a placeholder, and we get a button component, which goes, sorry about that, here we go. All right, and we'll call this add. And already got the service, so let's, this is the service. Right, now I need to do mapping, and you can rename these so they're not just REST service 1 and 2 and 3. Let's go to mapping for this. And this is the name that we enter. So we take the input component and we map it. Now for the output, we don't really care because we're not going to do anything with it, so we can just ignore it. We're almost done. The last, well, two things we need to do. We need to invoke the service on button click, as before. Event, click, invoke service. This is this one. The only other thing is we're going to update the list in the database. Now we need to refresh the list in the client. So of course, one way you can just do it on the client. You can just add an item to a list, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to refresh the database. We're going to make another request and just reload the list. Right? So to request, you add, and then. Now, the only thing is we want to update the list only once the create successfully completes. So for that, I'm going to select the service, and I'm going to run the get again only on the success event. And we're going to go to Invoke Service and this one. All right? And let's try this. All right, let's see. All right, so you guys can try it now. Just be careful. All right? And of course, let's see. Oh God, should I click here? All right, well, it's kind of 50-50. This is hopefully good stuff, right? All right. Well, I know there is some time left, but let me give you one more example, and let's do this DevOps. Let's get the schedule. So they have this. Hopefully you guys can see, but basically it gives the schedule for a day. There are 5 days, Monday through Friday, so we can do, and the days are pretty simple. First day is Monday, and so on. So let's do that. Copy, and let's create a new service, and we're going to call this DevOps. And, all right, and we can do a test again. Oh, I forgot the day. See, so this is good. So testing is good, right? I forgot to enter a day, and I get an error. Right here, I can see that I didn't enter a day. So let's do, I don't know, day 3. Test. Still. Oh, now I need to event ID, right? Okay, I know the event ID, I remember, is 7. 7. Try this again. Test. Here we go, right? And again, basically automatically create a response. It's created, and this is everything I get back. All right? Let's save, close. Let's do one more page, and then we'll be done. So we'll call this DevOps. And let's use a list component. Again, we get a list component. And let's, right, and let's DevOps, adding it to the page. Now again, we do mapping, nothing for input, but for output, we're going to map the collection of all the that's all the presentations to the list. And we just need to find title, which is right here. We're not going to worry about other stuff, all right? And finally, invoking, let's make this round corners. And finally, invoking on page load, we go to load, invoke service, right? We need to change the starting page to DevOps. All right. Done. There's some empty ones because it has like breakfast and coffee breaks. They have a different type of a presentation, so they don't have a title. So obviously you would need to check, if it's a breakfast, then you show something else. But anyhow, this just shows you how fast and easy you can do this. All right? You guys have any questions? Yes? No, fortunately no. REST, JSON or XML. Sorry. So did you say anything bad in the? Sessions. What do you mean sessions? Yeah. So again, just what this is sort of an IDE, basically IDE in the browser. You're building an HTML mobile app, so you can do anything that basically you can do with HTML, and JavaScript. So sessions. I mean, if you're referring to kind of local storage or session storage, yeah, you can easily use that. I'm sorry. How do you? So the question was, how do we test any native features, right? So we've got a special app for Android where you log into the app and you can see all your projects. And you can launch a project and it will download the app, the actual PhoneGap app, into your phone. And you can test it. So for Android, it's very simple. iOS, we tried to submit it to the store, but so far has been sort of not accepted. Well, they don't like the idea of something being downloaded to the phone. I think it has something to do with that. But for Android, again, it's an app. You get a list of projects, you click on the project, download it, and it basically runs. iOS, we've got the same tester app, but it's available sort of as open source. So you would have to build it yourself and install it on the phone yourself. I mean, we'll probably try again, but there's obviously no guarantee that Apple will. Go ahead. Yeah. So you can so instead of installing each time, you can just launch it. It will download automatically to your phone. Yeah, of course. You can just do it. You can do it right here. Export, and then there is Eclipse project. Yeah, and then or you can do Xcode, or for Windows Phone you can do as a Visual Studio. Yeah, standard. Yes.
How's licensing on it? Licensing?
Licensing. Yeah. So I think there was a question in the little database. I know. Really? Let's check. Oh wow! Look at that. We've got 10 pages. Oh. At Java. What is that? Well. Wow. Bad stuff. Now we can actually, there's actually location information being recorded. So we can actually, I can actually, yeah. There's a built-in feature where I can actually point, well, no. Well, license. So again, but on a more serious note. Awesome. Thank you. It's running in the cloud, so there's nothing to download, right? There's nothing to install. So it's a freemium model, like Salesforce, for example. There is free, and then there are pay plans. The difference is only number of apps you can build, right? There is no difference in features, right? So I totally understand you guys, right? Don't want to buy stuff, right? But really, we're talking about, like give you an example. So there's free, obviously free. The next plan is just $15 per month, 15. So it's not, 15,000. It's 15. And just the amount of time you're going to save, I think it's enormous. But what I'm going to do, and that's the last slide. I left. There's one more slide that I have. If you use this code, right, Java 1.12, you're going to get 3 months pro plan. So that's $150 value. And if you guys really want more, shoot me an email. I will give you more. So you're going to get maybe 6 months, right? So yeah, it's Java 1.12, so it's pretty simple to remember. But my email is right. It's pretty simple. So the product is called TIGZ, but I work for a company called XRL. We are actually out of East Bay here, Concord. So that's the company behind TIGZ. That's why the email. So max@XRL, right there. And again, the code is just Java 1.12, lowercase. Just number of apps, you get all the features, yes. So it's 1 app, 3 apps, 50 apps. But you get all the features.
The title of this talk is Building of HTML5 and Java. Where did the Java come in?
The REST services.
The REST service.
Yeah, they're Java.
So it's not part of what you're building.
You can say that. Yeah. This is, this is above, but it's a kind of big room. So I wanted to do something non-traditional, sort of not bore you with slides and code. I'm sure you've seen other sessions that show slides, and slides. Well, another 10 minutes. You guys are welcome to ask questions. But other than that, I'm done. Hopefully you liked it. Something kind of cool. Thank you.